Representative Cynthia Browning has served the people of Arlington, Manchester, Sandgate, and much of Sunderland well in the House of Representatives. Even though Representative Browning is a Democrat who is running as an independent this cycle, she always votes for what she thinks is right, regardless of partisan pressure. She works across the aisle, and as an economist, she has the right experience to help our state recover from the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Even though Representative Browning and I don't agree on every issue, I respect her dedication and commitment to public service. I'm happy to support her campaign, and I hope you do too. Governor Phil Scott, October 2nd, 2020. Hi, I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm running for re-election to represent Arlington, Manchester, Sandgate, and Sunderland in Montpelier. Many people think I am just a complete policy wonk, and I am guilty of that. But they've also asked me about other aspects of my life and my personality, so I'm going to try to answer some of his questions that might help you get to know me a little bit more. What is my favorite popular song? Knock on Wood. And there's a problem because I can't remember who did it, but it's a rhythm and blues song, and this is how it goes. It's like thunder, lightning, the way you love me is frightening, I gotta knock on wood, baby. Well, anyway, I'll stop singing. By the way, knocking on wood is a superstition that's based on the Druid religion from thousands of years ago. Trees were sacred in that religion. If you touched a tree, you were praying. So knocking on wood protects you. I've been asked for my favorite movie, The Fugitive. Tommy Lee Jones, Harrison Ford. Oh my God, the crash with the train in the bus in the beginning is the most spectacular crash in all of our film history. And they had to do it on one take because you weren't going to do that crash over again. Favorite book. I don't have just like a favorite one book, but one thing that you might be interested to know is that I reread mystery novels by Tony Hillerman and John D. MacDonald over and over again. What I like about their writing is not only do they give us the puzzle and the mystery, they give us an entire social context, whether it's the Four Corners in the West or Florida with Johnny McDonald. And I really like that. Favorite comfort food on Friday night? That would be popcorn. And I mean popcorn just with salt and a little oil. None of these flavorings. If the popcorn is good, you don't need all the flavorings. Favorite place in Arlington? Once again, I have trouble coming out with a favorite place or a favorite aspect of Arlington because there's so many good things. But one of the things that I think is really important about Arlington that I care about a lot is all the springs. There are all these places where living water comes out of the ground and feeds into the Battenkill and our other streams. It feeds into this pond here in the Arlington Rec Park. All of us in Arlington get our drinking water from the ground in one way or another, whether we're on the Arlington Water Department, spring-fed wells, or our own wells. And now that we're in a drought, many people know how important groundwater is. Living water sustaining us coming out of the ground that must be protected. So perhaps this Friday night, you might find me in my living room with popcorn and a glass of Arlington well water, reading a Tony Hillerman novel, watching The Fugitive, and listening to Knock on Wood. Hi, I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm standing here on the beautiful banks of the Battenkill in my backyard. I thought I'd take a few minutes to explain about that quorum call and maybe put that issue to bed. Back in March 13th was the last in-person session of the House when we were all together in the House chamber. But we still had lots of business to do for Vermonters. We hadn't done the budget. We had lots of special things about the COVID-19 emergency to pass. So we had to figure out a way to switch from voting while in person in the House chamber and having all the sessions in the chamber to doing things over video conferencing over the computer. And that's a big change because the House rules say that in order to do business, you had to be in the House chamber. And in order to do business, you had to have votes by a majority of the House. You had to have a quorum. You've heard that word quorum. There are 150 members of the House. So half of that is 75. So you have to have 76 members of the House to conduct business of the House unless you're just doing a token session to advance the calendar. You know about this kind of thing because if your select board has 5 members, you have to have at least 3 members there to do business. If there are 2 select board members at a meeting and they start passing changes in town ordinances, that would be wrong. You would be up in arms about that. It's the same thing in the House. If you're going to make a change in the House rules, do significant business, you have to have a quorum of the House, 76 members. That's what the rules say. And if you're going to change the rules of the House, you have to have 76 people there and a majority vote by them to do that. So on March 25th, the House Speaker proposed to make that change from in-person physical sessions to computer sessions without a vote of the House. She wanted to do it in a token session with like 10 people there. She was breaking the House rules. Her proposal to change the House rules without a vote of the House, a quorum of the House, was breaking the House rules. I got legal counsel about that. She was breaking the House rules. Her proposal was also circular because it said we would go to the computer sessions and we would later confirm it using votes by the computer sessions. That's circular. So I called for a quorum because I felt that what she was doing was breaking the House rules. At that point, she could have deferred what she was doing. She could have waited and done it another day. But she chose to call people in. 90 people came in. We only needed 76. Everybody was spaced out. We voted on her proposal and passed it properly according to the rules. This meant that whatever we did in the computer sessions, we could be sure that it would not be subject to legal challenge because we hadn't gone to those sessions properly. I think it was really important that we abided by the rules, and I believe I was right to call for the quorum. I don't think that emergencies can justify suspending the rules of democracy because that's kind of a slippery slope. What are you going to suspend next? If you think everybody agrees, let's just not even bother doing it. That's ridiculous. Democracy is essential work, and I'm very proud that so many representatives came in that day to do their jobs. Since I called for the quorum back in March, the House Speaker, Mitzi Johnson, has censured me. She has punished me in various ways for doing what I had a right to do as a House member and for doing what required her to abide by the rules. This is consistent with a pattern of behavior that she has exhibited where she bullies representatives into voting the way she wants them to according to party priorities. She gets people to vote against the best interests of their constituents. That's wrong too. I will always vote for what I think is right. I will always vote for what I think is best for my constituents. I will never put personal political ambition above the best interests of the voters of this district. I'm Cynthia Browning. I ask for your vote for re-election to represent Arlington, Manchester, Sandgate, and Sunderland in Montpelier. Thank you. I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm here in Sandgate on the first beautiful Sunday morning of October. I have represented Sandgate and Montpelier for 14 years, and I would love to represent it for 2 more. I really care about Sandgate. I love representing Sandgate. I'm offering my skills as a public servant, and it's very important to me that you know that I voted against the possibility of future pay raises for legislators.
I support the concept of increasing legislative pay in a careful and conservative way. I just question the timing of this. We are doing a first quarter budget that sets us on a path to return to do the complete budget in August. I just don't see the reason for putting this provision in place now. There will be plenty of time to do this next year. If there's going to be an increase in constitutional pay at a future year, we can link legislators' pay to it then. If there is no increase in constitutional pay in a future year, it doesn't matter whether we're linked or not. I just don't think it's necessary to do this at this time. We should have a broader discussion when we are in a session in a more leisurely way. We do not need to do this in the first quarter legislation. In addition, the first quarter budget legislation. In addition, Madam Speaker, participation in discussions while the House was in recess demonstrate that many people are very confused about these provisions. They're very confused about how legislators' pay is currently set. And we also have no data as to how our pay would have been different if it was linked to constitutional officers' pay in the past, and how it might be different in the future. So to make this decision now in the first quarter budget without a full airing, without data, it seems to me to be an error, an unforced error. Let us take up this extremely important topic again in the future. I vote no on section B3 and B4.
The legislature passed this thing that's going to link legislative pay to other officers, so it'll go up automatically. That's wrong. The last thing we should be doing now is voting ourselves more money at a time when so many Vermonters are struggling. I voted against the legislative pay raise. I'm serving Sandgate. I'm fine. I want to make sure you're fine. I ask for your vote to represent Sandgate in Montpelier. Thank you. Hi, I'm Representative Cynthia Browning. I'm here in Sandgate at the old schoolhouse, and I want to tell you about one of the most important votes of this past legislative session. I voted against raising your education property tax rates. Whatever your property taxes are now, they would have been lower had my position prevailed. Sandgate has 2 representatives in Montpelier. I'm the only one who voted not to raise your school taxes. I've represented Sandgate in Montpelier for 14 years, and over that time, we've worked on many education issues. Sandgate's a school choice town. That creates particular kinds of issues about how the property tax rate is calculated, the number of students, the budget, the excess spending penalty. I've worked with Sandgate on all of those. I know Sandgate. I care about Sandgate. I ask for your vote to represent Sandgate in Montpelier for 2 more years. Hi, I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm running for re-election to represent Arlington and Montpelier. This is the pool at the Arlington Rec Park. I took swimming lessons here when I was a little girl. I learned to swim here. When I'm in Montpelier, I'm often wading in something a lot murkier than clean, clear, spring-fed water. In Montpelier, policies are based on ideology and special interest people worry about getting reelected the day after they get elected. I'm concerned about reality-based policies, good government. Good government is always good politics. I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm running for re-election to represent Arlington. I ask for your vote. There it is. I found it. This is how well I keep track. I keep track of things in Montpelier too. Let me give you an example. They brought a bill about workers' compensation changes to the floor of the House, in through the committee. All the lawyers looked at it. Leadership looked at it. Everybody thinks it's okay. And on the floor of the House, because I've read the bill, I find out that they are holding Vermont businesses responsible for obeying rules in March that weren't released until April.
Madam Speaker, I'm very concerned because the inclusion of non-frontline workers in this special change in presumption for workers' comp is framed in terms of we are treating this differently. It's a different presumption because employers can either show that the worker got it elsewhere other than work, or they can show that they were abiding by certain guidelines. I don't know when those guidelines came into effect. We are making workers eligible for this change in presumption back to March 1st, and we don't know when the guidelines were published. Then are we not creating a situation where no matter how good a job a business was doing, it couldn't have met those guidelines because they hadn't been issued?
And the committee chair was like, oh my God, thank you, Cynthia, for finding that mistake. And they fixed it. All the lawyers had looked at it. All the representatives were just like, sure, whatever. They're not reading it. I read it. I protected Vermont businesses. I will protect you in Montpelier.
I want to thank the member from Arlington for bringing up the fact of the guidelines not being posted on March 1st. We will have Ledge Council come in and speak to us on before third reading and work on an amendment to fix that.
Hi, I'm Representative Cynthia Browning. I've been representing Manchester, Arlington, Sunderland, and Sandgate in Montpelier for 14 years, and I'm running for re-election. When I decide how to vote on important bills, I have to look at whether they're going to work, and I have to consult my constituents. Two of the important bills this session were minimum wage and paid family leave. I support paid family and medical leave on a voluntary basis so that it can start small and grow and be affordable. I have voted for minimum wage increases that started in 2014 and have happened every year since then. But the increases proposed this year were too big, too fast. They would have hurt the people they're intended to help. People would have lost their jobs, lost hours, single mothers would have lost benefits. You don't want a proposal like that. I'm Cynthia Browning. I put what's best for my constituents above party discipline because I want policies that will really work. I ask for your vote to return to Montpelier to represent Arlington, Manchester, Sandgate, and Sunderland. For 14 years, the voters in Arlington, Manchester, Sandgate, and Sunderland have sent me to Montpelier to keep track of the state's money. It really matters how the state raises money and how it spends money. Right now, a lot of Vermonters don't have a lot of extra money, really struggling to make ends meet. And it really matters that the state raises and spends money effectively and fairly. I know how to keep track of that. I remember working in a local business once and someone stole an item worth $34. And the owner of the business was almost in tears because she said, "Do you know how long it takes for me to make $34 free and clear net?" Vermonters work really hard. Your money has to work as hard as you do at the state level. In Montpelier, people often propose programs for political reasons, not based on economic realities. I look at the economic realities, and that's why sometimes I can't vote for their programs, because reality always bites back. Programs have to work for Vermonters. Send me back to Montpelier to follow the money for you. Again, for Arlington, Manchester, Sandgate, and Sunderland. Hi, I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm running for re-election to represent Sunderland in Montpelier. We have spent the last several months trying to figure out how to navigate our way through a pandemic and a recession at the same time. I have voted to get more money to Sunderland over and over and over. I have voted for assistance for businesses, for farms, for families, and for workers. I know how Montpelier works. I know the budget and the tax system. I know I can help Sunderland through these hard times. I ask for your vote to represent Sunderland in Montpelier. Hi, I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm running for re-election to represent Manchester in Montpelier. Up in the legislature, sometimes they pass a bill that sets up a program, but they don't provide financing. So then later there's a big fight about how do we finance this thing that we all support. This happened with the Clean Water Act, which is good. It's to clean up our lakes and rivers. The problem is some of the proposals that they had would have been really damaging to our businesses and to our property owners. For instance, they were proposing to finance clean water with an increase in the rooms and meals tax. That would have hurt any kind of hospitality establishment, any kind of restaurant. And working with other legislators, I pushed back on that. We killed it. They also have been proposing to increase your property taxes to finance the clean water, which would hurt everybody in Vermont, even places that don't really have a big clean water issue like Lake Champlain. So they're going to raise our property taxes to finance cleaning up Lake Champlain, which is what they dirtied. Once again, working with others, I have forestalled that. I have prevented that tax increase. It's really important that I go back to Montpelier to protect us from ill-advised policies and to ensure that the policies are good. I'm Cynthia Browning. I ask for your vote to represent Manchester in Montpelier. Hi, I'm Cynthia Browning. We are at the East Branch of the Battenkill in Manchester. This is the former Dufresne Pond site. The state had to take the dam out because it was too dangerous. After the removal, I worked with the Battenkill Watershed Alliance, Trout Unlimited, and Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department to plant all these trees. These are going to hold the banks and make the trout habitat better, makes wildlife habitat better, and makes this a better place for recreational activities. This site in Manchester means a lot to me because of this restoration. I know Manchester. I care about Manchester. I ask for your vote for re-election to represent Manchester in Montpelier. I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm sitting here in another part of the center of Manchester. We're surrounded by retail stores and restaurants, but we have behind us the west branch of the Batten Hill and the beautiful waterfall. I'm a practical economist and an environmentalist. I believe we can have a strong economy and a healthy environment. I voted for the Global Warming Solutions Act because we need to do more to combat climate change. The act is not perfect, but it can be changed by the legislature in the future. I ask for re-election as your state representative from Manchester so I can work on these issues for you. Please go to my website, www.cynthiabrowning.com, for more information. Hi, I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm running for re-election to represent Sunderland in Montpelier. I'm standing on the banks of Roaring Branch where Irene caused terrible damage and erosion. In about 2013, I planted this tree to hold the banks against future damage. There's nothing more hopeful than planting a tree, and it makes me feel so good that this one has done so well. I know Sunderland. I care about Sunderland. I ask for your vote to represent Sunderland in Montpelier. Good morning, Arlington. I am Cynthia Browning. I'm running for re-election to represent Arlington in Montpelier. I have served this district in Montpelier for 14 years. I ask nothing more than to serve you again. I'm standing in West Arlington. In the background is some of the best agricultural soil in the area. As a legislator, I've worked hard to ensure that state policies supporting farms make sense and will work for Vermonters. In the background, you can also see the bandstand where dances and square dances and concerts have been held. In 1949, my Aunt Louise danced with Norman Rockwell in that bandstand. She says he was pretty lively. I'm Cynthia Browning. I ask for your vote to represent Arlington in Montpelier. Hi, I'm Cynthia Browning. I'm running for re-election to represent Arlington in Montpelier. Arlington is my hometown. I live here and I love living in Arlington. You know what I haven't done in a long time? Tried to skip rocks into the Batten Hill. I'm going to give it a shot. Whoop. Oh, I got one. Whoops, misfire. Oh, I got one. Two of the things I'm most proud of during my time in Montpelier is that I voted against Act 46 and I pushed back against forced mergers that would have eliminated our local school boards. And I also helped the town obtain financing to purchase the Arlington Water Company. This company and the water service anchors the center of town. Even if you're not a customer, it affects you in Arlington. And my knowledge of the state systems helped us get that done. I know Arlington. I care about Arlington. I ask for your vote to represent Arlington in Montpelier.